When we work with kids, we are explaining them that just 20% of the communication goes from the brain to the body, and 80% goes from the body to the brain. So how smart we are that we are also using our body to communicate to our brain, because our body has got great resources to communicate to the brain and to give safe signals to the brain so that we can connect with each other.
Hello and welcome to Stories Lived, Stories Told, a dialogue-driven podcast exploring how to create better social worlds through better communication. I'm Abby, and today I invite you to join me in conversation with Evelien van den Kerkhof and Martie van der Reijden as we take a communication perspective on learning to be body-oriented and polyvagal-informed. To take a communication perspective is to consider what we're making and how we're making it through our communication practices. This means we look closely at patterns, context, stories, and relationships, and that we employ curiosity, mindfulness, collaboration, and dialogue to create better social worlds. So whether the topic of today's conversation is familiar to you or not, the hope is that using a communication perspective will reveal new ways of seeing and being for all of us. At the top of the episode, you heard one of our conversation partners today. Together, Martie and Evelien are child and youth therapists with a particular interest in polyvagal theory, which they have used to create a tool called My World they use in their therapy practice and beyond. As we're going to hear today, it's really just a wonderful tool for all of us. This conversation fits nicely into a communication perspective as we begin to expand our understanding of communication to also mean more than words. There's a lot of ways we communicate with each other and with ourselves and our own bodies. My World is available in a couple different languages, has been available in English now since June 2024. You can access it online. For people listening today, Evelien and Martie want to offer a special discount code so you can use My World CMM. It's all one word, all lowercase, My World CMM. You can look in the show notes for that, as well as the link to get to their website. That'll give you a 10% discount when ordering the English materials of their tool, My World. So excited to share this conversation with you today. We can all learn about My World, what it means to be body-oriented and polyvagal-informed. Let's jump right in with Evelien and Martie. Hello, Evelien and Martie. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation today.
Hi, Abby. Thank you for inviting us for your podcast today.
Yes, thank you, Abby, for inviting us, and we feel very grateful to be on your podcast.
Well, I'm grateful to have you, especially as I'm kind of conceptualizing this as a follow-up to the earlier conversation I had with Michael Allison, which was where I was really introduced to polyvagal theory. And I know your work is kind of very different from what he does, but still rooted in polyvagal. So I'm really excited to learn from both of you today. To start us off, I would love for all of us to answer the question, how are we arriving? And Evelien, I wonder if you could start us off.
So yes, today I'm arriving after a short day of work and after a weekend where I think spring is started in the Netherlands after a very long winter full of rain and grayness. So last weekend it gave me a lot of chances to be outside and to enjoy the weather and to build up my green area of calm and together. Yeah, in the polyvagal theory, we call it ventral vagal. So I live in the Netherlands, in the area where the flowers grow, and I'm like running. So I'm looking forward to run in a few weeks through the flower fields.
Yeah, Martie, how are you arriving?
Yes, well, actually, the same goes for me because this weekend it was really a wonderful weekend with a lot of sun, and spring is coming and the flowers are arising. So I was working in the garden and sitting in the sun with a cup of tea. So I was thinking, wow, this is a good ventral vagal green world for me, and that works very well. Yeah.
I can't imagine there's too many similarities between Indiana, where I am, and where you are in the Netherlands. But we are also emerging from a very gray, cold period. So I've also enjoyed a walk outside this weekend, which I haven't in a long time. Along with that, I'll share how I'm arriving is that I'm feeling very curious to learn from you, as I said, especially because I've been waiting so long to get to talk to you since we had to reschedule this conversation since I was sick when we were originally supposed to record. And this is the second conversation of two that I actually had to reschedule from that time. And I've just been really reflecting on that experience for myself because it took some amount of internal battle for me to allow myself to cancel those because we had picked that time and I had been looking forward to it and I didn't want to seem unprofessional or, disrespectful of anybody's time. But I think I got to a certain point where I was, coughing. I was like, it would not be a good podcast and not pleasant to listen to anyway, with how kind of stuffed up I was. And so I've just been thinking about what it took in that moment for me to listen to my body and know that my body was telling me that what I really needed was rest, because I think I come from more of a narrative about pushing through and, just kind of willpowering through different signals that my body's giving me that I haven't always been attuned to. So that's something that's kind of my own journey going on right now of listening to my body more. So I'm really grateful to be learning about the language that polyvagal theory offers. So I won't get too ahead of myself with that because I kind of want to jump right in and ask you about that. But I'd love to hear you introduce yourselves first so we can get to know you a little better. So Martie, maybe you could start us off this time. Would you introduce yourself? What do you want us to know about you?
Well, I'm a pediatric therapist and I work together with Evelien in a practice in the Netherlands. And in our practice, we see many children who have felt unsafe in the past and who have suffered trauma mostly in the relationships with significant others. So we see a lot of children with a lack of trust and they have little self-confidence or little trust in others. And usually they have little or no insight into their own inner world. Often they don't feel their sensation and emotions very well. And so we discovered in our practice that words often aren't enough. So we were looking for other entrances to help them to feel more safe. And we saw we need to add more body-oriented treatment. And a couple of years ago, I followed a training for TRE. I don't know if you know it, tension and trauma releasing exercises. And I felt how you can give your body a feeling of safety through your body. And that's where I heard for the first time about polyvagal theory. And I learned how the nervous system works and how it influences actually our entire being, depending on the safe or unsafe cues. And I also wanted to teach that to the children and the families that I see in my practice. So we wanted to make it practical for using in our practice. And the terms of the polyvagal theory are quite complicated.
Right.
So we had to simplify it, of course, for children, but also for the parents, actually. And because they say, like, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Is that the expression? Yeah.
Yes.
We thought we should create an image of that inner world of the nervous system in an attractive way that make people curious and interested in their own world, in their own system, in their own body, actually. So that they get more insight into what lies beneath the behavior. And the polyvagal theory, I guess, ensures that you look to behavior in a completely different way. It's important, I think.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great place to start. Evelien, what would you add to that or want to say about yourself?
I'm almost the same as Martie. I'm also a pediatric therapist, so we work together in our independent practice. I'm 51 years old, living with my husband and my two daughters of 15 and 11 years old. And I think I can add to it. In our practice, we see a lot of children who have a lot of stress and emotion regulation problems, and that started from unsafety. So in our practice, we offer a lot of regular psychological treatments, and that yields mostly good results. But some complaints remained. And that's why we were searching to add some body-oriented treatments. So I started to practice myself in reflex integration. And I was really surprised about how the body develops patterns of protection when it experiences unsafety. So it was in the corona pandemic that Martie and I started to a creative process to create my world. And that gave a whole new dimension to our collaboration. And we find more connection by ourselves and a nice flow and sharing our plans. Well, and as Martie said, polyvagal theory helps us to look at a different way to the behavior and complaints of the clients we work with. And we want to bring them in a physiology of safety, because we know when in a safe state, a different portfolio of behavior opens up. That are the words of Stephen Porges himself. So our work is to treat attachment problems and trauma, and to help families to connect and to attach to each other. So when we can bring them in a state of safety, we can help to start them connect and attach to each other. So that is what polyvagal theory brings me in my work.
Yeah, well, thank you both for that introduction. I want to kind of dig a little deeper. You've introduced yourself and you have started to introduce polyvagal theory and my world, which you've created. But can we get into that a little more? I'm curious how you introduce polyvagal theory to the families that you work with. How do you describe it? What kind of sticks out to you or resonates with you the most that you really want people to be able to latch onto and kind of get on board with this theory with you?
Yeah, I think the world map of my world is helping the clients to understand their difficult feelings and their thoughts and their physical reactions and their behavior. Because we created a world map that visualizes the polyvagal theory. And this map is designed in such a way that it offers a possibility to reflect their inner world. Of course, I can't show it because it's a podcast.
Yes.
But maybe it's helpful to give a little explanation of what the map looks like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because on the map you can see the 3 states of the polyvagal theory. At the left part you can find the green area, which reflects the ventral vagal part of the autonomic nervous system. And we call this the green area of calm and together to our clients. And here you can find all kinds of elements where people could get a calm, relaxed, pleasant or safe feeling, like a flower field, the sun is shining, there's a play area, a picnic table, you can connect with others, you can read a book or listen to music. All kinds of things like that. And in the middle of the world map, you can find the orange area, which reflects the sympathetic. And we call this area the area of energy and movement. And here you can find elements like a storm, a desert, a dense forest, and a volcano. And in the right part of the world map, there's an ice blue area of emptiness and absent. And in this icy area, you can find an igloo, a snowstorm, pieces of floating ice, and snow-capped mountains. So each area is made up of different intensities also. And the further you go into the area, the more intense it becomes. So it's not a static state. So the level of energy within each area also varies from little energy at the bottom to a lot of energy at the top. Like a lot of energy at the volcano and less energy in the green area when you're laying in a hammock at the beach, for example. And between the areas, you can also find blend states. So, for example, between the green and the orange area, there you can play a game with lots of energy or give a presentation with a healthy tension. So they're in between areas as well. And it's important, and that's also what we tell the children and the parents. We see that all the three states are needed. We need also sympathetic to have the energy to do things, and we need the dorsal icy part for a deep restore or a reset now and then, but also daily to fall asleep, for example. So it's all needed, and it's all there to protect our bodies. And that's also a helpful thing for a lot of children, that they know, oh, it's normal. Everybody has these different states, and it helps us. It's protecting us. And in every state, there are different physical reactions, different emotions, different thoughts, different behavior. So that's also something we explain to the children and the parents.
And then how is my world used in your practice?
Well, we framed it. So it's always used in our practice. So families come in, and when we pick the tea or coffee, they are looking at the world map, and they are checking in and feeling, oh, on what place am I at this moment? And is it a good place to therapy? But of course, sometimes children come inside and they are completely dysregulated. So that's not a moment that we are asking them, oh, on what place are you today? Because
Right.
only if you are in the green area of calm and together, you can reflect on yourself, and you can think about yourself, or you can think about the other one. So that's a moment that we are going to do some exercises to calm down and to move to the green area of calm and together. So on the world map, between the different areas and within the different areas, there are safe and unsafe routes. So you can move through the areas, and we are driven by signs of safety or unsafety. And Stephen Porges calls that neuroception. And neuroception is an unconscious process of perceiving signals of safety and unsafety. And driven by our neuroception, we are moving through the areas on the world map. So our goal is to get our clients, and of course their parents or their caregivers, to move to the area of green and together, calm and together, the green area, because that is a state where they can connect with each other, and they can attach to each other, they can reflect, and they can learn and grow. So we made exercise cards. And on the exercise cards, there are, Stephen Porges will call that neural exercises, but they are very funny and playful. And there are all kinds of exercises that we can do to give safe signals to the nervous system. We don't do it via the language of words, but via other portals like breathing, like moving, the senses, and also connection and co-regulation. So we blow a lot of bubbles in our room and do all kind of movement games. And it's also very funny. And it's a very safe way for children to move to the green area of calm and together.
Because I think a lot of children we see, they don't know their green area very well. And they're often in a protective state of fight, flight, or freeze, and it's so unknown for the child that there's also a green area of calmness and together. So discovering that green area is something new and very helpful, because a lot of the times in therapy, they focus on, what is happening in the orange state or in those ice green state. And so looking at the green area is a pleasant and safe way for the children. And an important one, because we know that when you're able and when you have a big green area, then you're more flexible to come back from the orange and the ice blue state in the green one.
And you will become less more in the orange or the ice blue area, because Stephen Porges calls that the vagal break. Yeah? We are the one of simply words, so we call that when you have a very big green area and you know to find it easily, you will come less more in the orange or the ice blue area. That's how our biology works. And it's good to know when you are born, there are all kind of opportunities in you. We are all basically the same. We've got all basically the same nervous system, but it is shaped on our experiences. So when you are growing up in a safe environment with a loving adult, you will build up a very big green area with a lot of roots to it. So you will find it more easily than someone who is growing up in an unsafe situation for a very long time. You will build up a very big orange area or an ice blue area. And there are some kids who didn't have really had a chance to build up a green area. So we have to discover it. And I think a lot of children who come to our practice did have a lot of punishments or heard a lot of time that their behavior is bad, but they can't really do something about it, because their behavior did protect them from unsafety, and they didn't they didn't have the chance to build up the green area.
I just think this is a wonderful tool, and I appreciate you doing your best to put it into words for this podcast format where people can't see it as we're talking about it. But I'll definitely be sure to include the link to your site so people can find it for themselves. As you know, we've already kind of described your work as being body oriented. I guess I would say that my work is communication oriented. And so I do love words and language. And so I see in one way this tool as being very, very powerful for helping people to name where they're at. Like you said, that's the function this has when people walk into your office. And also it's really important to me that when I talk about communication and communicating, that people understand that it is not just words, that there are many, many ways that we communicate with each other. And I like so much the idea of my world and polyvagal theory to kind of find, I don't know if this will make sense, but almost like find yourself in your body, because I think we think of ourselves as existing up here, like in our brains, because that's where we're kind of thinking our consciousness feels like it's here. And so I feel like I'm up here, but I am also here, my arms and my nervous system and my legs and all my, every part of me is me, and it's my body is my world. And so I just love the idea of learning how to communicate with your body. And you talked about these exercises. I'd love to hear more about those, because again, I think this is maybe just probably new for a lot of people, that they only have tools like words to communicate. But then maybe before I let you answer this question, I'll share a story that I attended an event at the Polyvagal Institute, just a free online event a while ago that was about somatic touch. And they walked us through this practice of kind of, taking some time, maybe like, 5 to 10 seconds, and holding different spots up your arm, and then kind of swiping it out. And you did that twice on each arm. And I've done that a lot since that practice, because I can that, like, I know that's my greatest example of communicating something to my body, not using words, because every single time I do it reliably, I yawn every single time, like usually when I get up to my shoulder, and I'm like, okay, I am communicating that my body can be calm right now, and my body is listening and responding. And that's like, just blows my mind. So I'm excited to hear more about some of your exercises that you use. And I'd love to know about the changes that you've seen when your families and the kids that you work with start to use these exercises for themselves. That was a lot. Did that all make sense?
Yes, but it's so nice to hear your experience. You talked about communication, and then we think about words. I think my world is communications via another portal, just visual communication. And we can also talk about communication as the connection brain-body. So, and there is a connection between the brain and the body. And when we work with kids, we are explaining them that just 20% of the communication goes from the brain to the body, and 80% goes from the body to the brain. So how smart we are that we are also using our body to communicate to our brain, because we've got our body has got great resources to communicate to the brain and to give safe signals to the brain so that we can connect with each other. So as a therapist, we are also in the past working with a lot of words and reflection and talking and analyzing, and we call that working top down. And then we find the body oriented way. We've got a lot of more opportunities to work with our clients in just a fun and safe way. Yes.
And I think it's also good to add that when you're talking with words, when we're in the green area and when we feel calm and safe, that's perfect and it works very well. But when we're feeling unsafe and we're in the orange part or in the ice blue part, then words won't work that good, because our cortex isn't working that well when the stress level is going up. So then we need also other entrances to calm ourselves.
Yeah. Could you specifically reference any of the exercises that you use?
Maybe I can tell you about a client. She was about 16 years old. She really knew the ice blue area very well. So she was a lot of times she got dissociated. She was elsewhere with her mind and with her body. And first, of course, we explained about how the nervous system works and that it's a protective way for her to protect her. And she got to recognize these moments as a protective way. Actually, she got more like it was her friend than it was her, how do you say, that it wasn't an enemy for her, but a friend for her. And then we did some exercise, for example, to feel a little bit more her body. So to put her feet on the ground and to use her senses, like what do you see, what do you feel, what do you hear. And in our world, we have barefoot path, and so the exercises come with that element, with that image of the barefoot path, to feel slowly again her energy and to walk back to the green area, because she was used to that. When she allows herself to feel again, it was so overwhelming And so she took the route from the ice blue area via the volcano, but that was too much for her. So she got back to the ice blue area because it was too much. So she went on and on between the ice blue and the orange area. And when we practiced with her that she also could add a little bit energy and a little bit of her feeling, not too much, but a little bit, then she got used to, okay, now I can go slowly to that green area again. And also together with her parents who were supporting her and connecting with her and trying to get her back. Is that clear?
It is. It really is. I'm struck by what a great tool My World is. And I know it emerged out of you working with children and families, but it sounds like something we could all really use as we all are, on our own, I think, journeys of, trying to better communicate with our bodies. So I'm curious for you, because in my own experience, my work with what I call a communication perspective is so embodied. It's, I don't shut my computer, leave my office and turn it off. It stays with me. And so I still use it as a lens when I'm in my interpersonal relationships or my, outside of my work life. And I imagine that is maybe similar for you too, that, learning about polyvagal, creating My World has kind of overflowed into your own life. So I'm curious how you felt changed by learning the language of polyvagal theory and becoming body oriented.
Yes, it is the same. Of course, we developed it first for the children and families in our work, but also my family here is using those words and those images from My World. Yeah, when my son is angry, he says, "I'm on the volcano right now." So, and that helps to understand each other well. But also for myself, to be more conscious about where I am, in which state I am, and what to do when you're in like an orange state and too stressed. And then you can use some breathing exercise, or you can use an exercise with touch to calm yourself down and to walk to the green area again. So it's more, not only in our work, it's much more wider that we use it. And also with adults, like you said, of course, we developed it for children and their families, but we also hear from other therapists who are using My World that they also use it with adults. And it works very well because everybody has the same nervous system, of course.
Yes, I think that's the beauty of the polyvagal theory. It's about being a human. So it's for all people makes sense to know your own nervous system. And also for me, some clients think our life of a therapist always runs smoothly. But of course, that's not the case.
Right.
And actually, honestly, when you invited me for your podcast, I saw your mail and I was really not reacting from a calm and state of calm together. So first I ignored your email and thought, I'm so busy just before Christmas. And then I thought, oh, that must be a mistake. So after, so that was not a reaction of the green area. When I'm in the green area, I can trust in myself, and I can have trust in a good conversation with you. So my nervous system didn't immediately say yes to your invitation. And of course, it's not about you. It's about my nervous system. So I have to ask myself, what do I need to, of what does my nervous system need to say yes to it? And because of my knowledge, and I know it's always a good solution to do things together. So I asked Martie, what if we are going to do this together? And of course you say yes. And I think that's the best solution there is, to do this together. So it helps me to understand myself and to be aware of what my nervous system needs to be in the green area of calm together. And when I'm there, I'm a better therapist, I'm a better mother, I'm better for myself. So I think polyvagal theory is just about being a human and being and about life.
I see a real parallel between what you've created with my world that's emerged out of polyvagal theory and what the organization that I work with, the CMM Institute, has created. Our Cosmo activities, we call them. And we have things, activities for different age groups. But what was originally created was Cosmo Kids. And so ages 4 to 8 is what it was designed for. And it's, doesn't get into the kind of big language of CMM and this big, communication theory. But if you're familiar with the theory, you would kind of hear it in it, because it's just about developing a communication perspective and some different skills and tools for kids to help them understand that they have choices in how they react and respond, and that how they choose to respond. What we say, our communication creates our social world. So helping them understand that creating relationship, that you make something together in your relationships. And the real point of that is that, it was created, we were in conversation with kids. And so the scenarios came from hearing from kids what they experience, but it was created by a bunch of adults who had to kind of learn these things later in life, with the idea being, what if kids from a young age already had this perspective kind of built into their ways of learning? What kind of adults could those kids grow into be? What kind of things could they create if they've had these tools from very early on? So I see my world functioning in a very similar way, a very hopeful way of, these are great tools for them to have now and going forward into the future.
I think it is. And I'm convinced that when children or old people learn more about their nervous system and about social relationships and safe communication and world, we need much less professional help.
Yes, it is.
Because we have a lot of resources in ourselves and a lot of tools in ourselves. And when we know that, we don't need professional help. We've got each other to help.
Each other and your own body, because I think when you make them aware of the physical signals in their body, your body is always telling you what you need. If you need contact, or if you need rest, or your body is telling it. So the body signals are very important, and that's also what we try to do with the exercises, to make them more aware of the body signals. Because the green area, you feel calm, and your body is also in a calm state. It's working good. Your heart rate is normal, but also your breathing is calm, and your senses are focused on safe signals. You have positive thoughts, etc. But in the orange one, then your body is more warm. Your temperature is rising, and your heart rate is increasing. Your muscles are tense. And in the ice blue area, your breathing is very weak, and you have no energy. You feel no contact with your body. So all those differences in your body are telling you so much what you need.
I think that's an important piece to say. Your body is always telling you something. Your body is always communicating with you. For me, like I kind of alluded to earlier with how I answered how I was arriving, it's been a long process, and I'm still probably very early on in learning how to listen to my body. So I wonder if you could say a little more about that in terms of the exercises you do or the perspective you offer for how to help people not only tune in and recognize that their body's saying something to them, but how to actually and maybe not just listen to it, but kind of know what to do with that information.
Yes. I think working in a body-oriented way, it means a lot to me. And first of all, it means to me that we have to respect and have trust in our bodies.
I think also the exercises are given the body safe signals. And Stephen Porges also said, like, adding safe signals is the treatment. Because adding safe signals is the treatment. That's where you start. And so through the exercises, safe signals can be added, and through reflection on the exercise, you become aware of the shifting of your state.
I think working in a body-orientated way means to me that we, first of all, we have to have trust and respect the signals of our body that sends out. And nowadays we are very used to use our cognition, and we always want to understand things. So when there are coming children to our therapy, and for example, they can't sleep, they are telling, I'm anxious when I'm in bed, and I feel my heart rate, I'm sweating, or I don't feel safe. And then you see the adult who wants to understand it. So he's going to ask a lot of questions. Oh, are you afraid of burglars? Are you worried about something? So we want to understand it, and so that we can give a solution.
Right.
But a lot of kids can't tell what it is about. And when they can't answer that questions, they think, oh, maybe I'm weird, or maybe I feel misunderstood, or maybe there's not a good reason for it. So we are telling the children that our body is mostly the first one who indicates how it is with us. And we tell them your body has probably a good reason for it, and we don't have to understand it always. We can give safe signals to your body, and then we know you are going to feel safe, and you are going to move to a state where you can sleep more easily because you feel safe. And also, we are telling children that a lot of communication goes through the body to the brain. As I told, 80%. So we are very smart when we give safe signals to from the body to the brain. To use that way.
I think I'm certainly guilty of being more mind or cognition oriented instead of body oriented. And so I really appreciate having that language.
Yes, and you told us you had also your own process, and I think everyone has his process. And the children who come to our practice, as Martie told, they are not really used to be aware of their inner world, and they have good reasons for it. Sometimes they didn't met someone who helped them to orient in their inner world, but sometimes it was very bad in their inner world, so it was not really fun to dive in your inner world. And sometimes they have to be more aware of the inner world of the other one, to see if it's safe, is the other one having a good day, or so they are not really used to orient on their inner world. And we say, when you are orienting yourself on the map, you are orienting yourself on your inner world. So the map is making a little bit curious about our inner world on a very safe way.
Yeah, this has me thinking that I spent, this is my 4th year of doing this podcast, and I've spent a lot of time showing up to recordings being very anxious and thinking that I could talk myself out of that and kind of logic or reason my way through what was for me a very physical feeling. And so I think feeling really good about this year, I've really kind of found a good place of tending to my physical experience, not in a logic or not that it's not logical, but in a cognitive way and more in that body oriented kind of way with, again, tools that I know of, like the somatic touch or grounding practices. And so, yeah, that's just what you've got me thinking about so much here of my own experience. And I just think that's such a universal experience. And I'm really grateful for this language of body oriented specifically. I'm really kind of holding on to that as another parallel to my work that, you are, I see maybe both of us as feeling very passionate about our respective theories and helping people understand them, because we really believe that they can make a difference in people's lives. And, maybe not everybody knows the words polyvagal theory or polyvagal-informed or what that means, but maybe they hear the word body oriented and have some of the language you offer through my world, and that's accessible to them. The kind of parallel for me is, I'm not talking about coordinated management of meaning, the CMM theory. I'm using a communication perspective as kind of the more accessible language that I just hope people can kind of take with them and say, kind of, it's a lens. I really see it as a lens. And so going through life, being oriented towards body, towards communication, I think especially those two things together can be very, very powerful.
Yes, I think it is. And I think what you say, you are not using all the difficult words, but you are living communication. And I think that will be very helpful to a lot of people.
And I think we experience, like you said, Abby, we experience those physical signals in our body when you're anxious, for example. So it's actually very logic that we also use our body to calm down again.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate both of you so much and all that you've already shared today. As we start kind of wrapping up, I do want to give another opportunity. Is there anything else that maybe I didn't know to ask, or just we haven't gotten around to yet today? Anything else you want to say, stories you want to share about your own experience with polyvagal or my world?
Well, you asked us before how we can help with my world to create better social worlds.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what Porges said about that. He is saying that if you want to improve the world, start by making to feel people safe. And that's what we're trying to do also with my world. We hope to contribute to a safe polyvagal world, and we are trying to spread it in a practical and simple way so that a lot of people, therapists, but people in general, gain more insight into their inner world and of the effects of the safe and unsafe signals to their body. So we hope that more and more people will have access to a large green area. And of course, everybody also travels through that orange and ice blue areas. But the main goal is not to get stuck there, but to be able to find your way back to the green area smoothly. And hopefully our materials can help finding that way back and increase the green area. And I think it's also good to know that even our health, not only mental but also physical, can also benefit from that. Because when we apply polyvagal theory to our life, we can understand how safety and co-regulation and connection are paramount to a healthy human experience. So in this green area, it creates health and growth and recovery. And I think when we're in society, if we are all a little bit more in that green area, then we are feeling more calm and safe, and there will be more kindness, more understanding, more attunement, more connection in the world. And that will make a better social world, I hope.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've really just, as we're talking, realized I'm only thinking about my world as, what does it teach me about me? But also, what does it teach me about you? And how can that inform how I meet you and we are together in relationship? That's wonderful. What else would you add, Evelien?
Yes, I think I can add that, as we told, we are also dreaming from a safe world for everyone. So we are dreaming of applying my world in education or in a workplace for adults. But one new thing that I'm really excited about it is that we gave the adopted children who are going for a route journey to their country where they were born, and they are visiting the orphanage that they were cared for. We give them a world map with them so they can hand over it to the caregivers over there and make them Polyvagal-Informed, make them be aware of the importance of safety and co-regulation. And so we hope to prevent a lot of problems with that. And we are also creating a safer world for ourselves to be a good therapist. So one recent thing we did is to create a network with 7 other therapists, also specialized in treatment of attachment problems and trauma. And the only goal is to support each other and to inspire each other and to share with each other. So from the perspective that no one has to do it alone. So we create a safer world for ourselves, to create a green area for ourselves and to be a good therapist for our clients.
Yeah, as Martie's brought us back to this language of better social worlds that I use, one thing I want to pull out of what I've heard you say that I think is really crucial is that you're not saying that a better social world is a my world where there's no fiery orange and no icy blue.
No.
But that there's more access, easier access to the calm green, and that those spaces are very normal for us to be in. All 3 of them are part of the human experience. So it's not about erasing ever feeling activated or dysregulated, because that's just going to be a part of it. Your better social world is just more about having the tools to navigate those inevitable experiences in all of these 3 different areas.
Yes, and to move flexible through the 3 areas, because to meet the challenges of today, we need all the areas.
Yes, they're all valuable.
And then we use all the areas, we are more resilient.
I love that word. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Well, Martie, Evelien, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm excited to share this conversation so people can know about my world and we can all become a little more body oriented together.
Oh, thank you so much for this inspiring conversation, Abby.
Okay, that is all for today's episode. But remember, the conversation doesn't stop just because the episode does. There are so many ways to stay in dialogue. First, you're always welcome to reach out to me to share your reflections, questions, and ideas. There are also a number of online spaces where you can comment, including the Stories Lived, Stories Told Instagram and the CMM Institute Substack. Links to all these places to connect are in the show notes. If you want to stay up to date, a couple things you can do are follow the show wherever you listen, leave a rating and review, share this episode with someone you want to invite into the conversation, and subscribe to the CMM Institute Substack to get every episode right in your inbox. Stories Lived, Stories Told is an initiative of the CMM Institute for Personal and Social Evolution. You can learn more about the CMM Institute and our other initiatives, including our other podcast, Cosmo Parenting, and all our free Cosmo activities, as well as Cosmopolis 2045. There's also the CMM Institute Fellowship and the CMM Institute Press. We have so many great resources that we are so excited to share. Again, links to all of that can be found in the show notes. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being curious, and thank you for being a part of this story. I'm Abby, and this has been Stories Lived, Stories Told.